What the fuck are we doing on a Saturday night? It has been a while since we've been on a Saturday night. Been kind of flopping around here at the Underground, but we have just an action-packed show for you this evening, and I appreciate y'all tuning in to the Underground. I am Reaper, and my special guest, that's right, the man behind the mask, Jason Brooks of the Vengeance 2, Friday the 13th fan films. Right now, this is what I want you all to do for me. The big bad devil daddy himself. I want you to share this out anywhere and everywhere but before we get to it here, let's go ahead and take a quick word from our sponsor at DeZea's Creep Shop. Check it out. All right. So if you like oddity items, these are handmade horror collectibles of all different types, anything from classic horror to just some of her own demonic creations. So most definitely check her out at DeZea's Creep Shop, Etsy.com, or the brand new website she has, which is DeZea'sCreepShop.com. Check it out and get yourself some of those creepy fucking dolls that she makes. They are fantastic. All right. So again, if you're just joining us now, we have Jason Brooks from Friday the 13th Vengeance and the upcoming Vengeance Part 2, as well as a whole host of other projects as well. Now, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I just kind of want to just jump right into it. What got you into the business?
Oh man, so many years. I've always been interested in film since I was little. Always kind of in the behind the scenes and everything. And at one point in my early 20s, I got into kind of the props and costumes portion of it and started helping out with some other independent films kind of behind the scenes. And they would throw me in as an extra or every once in a while they'd be like, hey, you're a big dude. Do you want to beat a monster in this? Like, absolutely. So that's kind of where I got my start in film, was just kind of helping behind the scenes and working on the side and just extra stuff. And then it really kind of blew up with the whole Jason Voorhees thing.
Oh, for sure, man. When was the first time you ever saw any of the Friday the 13th franchise?
I don't remember how old I was. I remember going to the library. I grew up in a small town called Puyallup in Washington, and there was a library there, and they had the first Friday the 13th on VHS. So, and having the name Jason, I was teased a lot as a kid growing up, on Friday the 13th especially. So I wanted to figure out what was
no shit
what it was about. Yeah. And so I went to the library, rented the thing, got home, and of course was disappointed to not find any Jason in the first one. And then my next venture was Part 6. So, and then I just loved it. I love the humor. I love the horror. I love the scares. I'm all about watching for details and effects and everything. So I just had a great time with that. So that was my first time. It was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay. So it started pretty early on for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome because, it took a long time for my folks to let me, I'd say probably about 10, 11, just like you. They finally started letting me see some of the stuff,
Yeah, it was fun. We started having friends over, like on my birthday, we'd play horror movies. We'd do like The Nightmare on Elm Streets and Friday the 13th and those things. And my stepdad, he would love to go out on the deck in the back while we're all watching, all the friends, young teenagers in the room, kind of open the window and like jump through the window during a scary part and scare all of my friends. So I think that was what was in it for him to let us watch it, was he got to scare the shit out of us. So,
what doesn't please a dad more than that?
Exactly.
Yeah, let me scare the fuck out of him.
Exactly. So
yeah, I know I scared mine.
Started. Exactly.
Real quick, Lance Hatfield, thank you for joining. Yes, the shop does have a website. It's DeZea'sCreepShop.com, or you can go to Etsy.com. And Johnny, welcome back, longtime viewer. He says, actually, I'll put it up here for you. It's nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
And he said he met Ari Lehman in person.
Oh, Ari Lehman, he's a cool dude. I've done a few events.
That's what I've heard.
And I did a movie with him too. Part two, we're in a movie together. So
nice.
Yeah.
So what was? Did you always kind of see yourself playing a diabolical character, a slasher character, just like creature, feature, anything like that?
Well, yes. I mean, I think it's the bad guys always have the best costumes, right? So the first film I saw ever that got me into the movie was Star Wars, and Darth Vader being, his presence, I love that. So
he was larger than life.
Yeah, absolutely, and he was badass. So I ended up in my 20s, getting my Darth Vader costume, doing some work for a group called the 501st, and then eventually doing some stuff for Lucasfilm for different events for CNN and some TV spots and magazines and all that as Darth Vader. And then being the big bad guy was my favorite. And so eventually that led to the Jason thing.
Now, just exactly how tall are you?
6'5", no shoes. Once I get the costume on, I'm about 6'7". So,
woo,
yeah,
yep.
big guy.
And that really stands out in Vengeance, the first Friday the 13th film there of the Vengeance series. I mean, you just tower over just about the entire cast. It was like, fuck yeah.
And also Roseblood, Friday the 13th Roseblood, which is a sequel to Part 7, did that one too. So,
okay, so was that the first one you did in the Roseblood series, or did you do them all?
No, so Friday the 13th Vengeance was a sequel to Part 6, and that's what brought back some of the original cast and crew from Part 6, and some of the crew from like Nightmare on Elm Street, and where we made that. And then Roseblood. So Peter Anthony, he was one of our marketing guys in Vengeance, and he was also played the lead prisoner in that scene. He went on to write a story for a sequel to Part 7, independent of Vengeance, and it brought back Terry Kaiser, Lara Park Lincoln, and Kevin Spiritus from Part 7. So the final girl, Dr. Cruz, and the main love interest, Kevin Spiritus, and they all came back to reprise their roles in Roseblood. So that's a sequel to Part 7, completely different. But Peter was like, dude, there's no one else I want to play my Jason than you. So could you come back? And of course I would. I love playing the role. So I did that one too. And now we're back on to Vengeance 2. So
I mean, it's literally amazing. Because I honestly have to say my favorite of the franchise was Part 6. Just overall, the cast was great. The storyline was good. I liked how they tied in, some of the previous stuff as well with Tommy and, all that stuff. I thought the sheriff was hilarious. Probably one of the best kill scenes. That's probably my favorite, when Jason folds him up like a fucking folding chair. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'm really starting to see the connection now, because when I saw it just as kind of just heard about it, went and watched it, I kind of felt like there was connections to Part 6.
Oh, yeah.
So, just the overall area, the way the cops look, and,
There was definite inspiration from Part 6. And, that was our
especially
favorite.
with the chain and the rock.
Yeah. I come out. So we kind of ignore 7, 8, and 9, X and all that with Vengeance. And we kind of pick up 30 years later from Part 6. So I come out as Jason from the lake, carrying that rock that Tommy drowned, Jason with. and do my first kill with that. And but
It was
the
glorious.
director Jeremy Brown, he was a big fan of Part 6. I'm a fan. We were all fans of Part 6, and so we really wanted to pay homage to that one. And we even had Tom McLaughlin. So Tom McLaughlin is a writer director of Part 6. When you watch the very beginning of Vengeance, that scene in the graveyard was Tom McLaughlin's original ending for Part 6. He wanted to introduce Elias Voorhees, Jason's father. And the studio said, no, we don't care about Jason's father. We don't want to go that direction. He had the storyboards and everything. You can find them online on Google. So we just took that, and we're kind of like, well, that was supposed to be the end, the original end of Part 6. Let's make that the beginning of Vengeance and start from there. So that's what we did. Tom McLaughlin came and played the Gravekeeper in that scene. So it was really awesome. And he had a great time on set saying, you know, it's really weird writing the scene 30 years ago and now being in the scene 30 years later. And so, yeah, he was a part of that, and has a much bigger role in Part 2. So,
right. Obviously, you know, with it being Bloodlines. So, you know, at my first watch of this, I was like, I cannot believe this is a fan film. It looks and plays just like, you know, something that you would see on the big screen. How did you guys pull that off as an indie production?
Well, we had a great team and a lot of passionate people with a lot of talent. So we pulled together a great team of people who had the materials, the tools, the talent. And we even had like Mick Strawn, who was the production designer, art director for films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Blade, Leatherface, Fantastic Four, like all the stuff. And he came out, he was a production designer. I was like a sponge learning from him every day on set. And love the guy. He's awesome. And we just busted our asses and got it done. And with Tom McLaughlin, like I said, writer, director, Part 6, he came on board as well. CJ Graham, who played Jason in Part 6, he played his father in Vengeance. And then we had a lot of other people like Steve Dash, who played Jason in Part 2. With Zach on set, he was our sheriff. And we just had a lot of alumni and behind the scenes cast and crew who were part of the franchise, who we all got together and said, you know, there's this lawsuit going on. There's no new official films to be made by the production company. So let's make our own and make it the way we want. And what's great is that all the cast and crew, the whole time we're commenting like, this is fucking amazing, because when we're on set working for the production company, we have these producers that come in and say, cut that. You can't do that. You can't show that. Don't show that. And we can show.
You guys broke some rules.
Yeah. So we can show, like Part 7, everyone knows was butchered by the ratings board.
It totally was. Yes.
And so
it's probably, you know, at the sum of its parts, like so much more than what they put out there.
Absolutely. And so with this, we had no restrictions, no rules, so we could do what we wanted. And we did. So everyone had a really good time. They really enjoyed it. Like, CJ Graham, he was saying too, like, you know, what's really great is we're making a feature film just like we did with Part 6. Everything is the same. It's just that we are only accountable to ourselves and not the production company, which makes you know, the art gets to come out more than having it be, you know, putting handcuffs on. So
yeah, I'll tell you, what I kind of really loved about that film specifically is it kind of, I mean, you still had all the elements of, you know, the Friday the 13th series, the franchise, because, you know, it's camp counselors getting together and, you know, tits and ass became part of the whole fucking thing. It's like whenever somebody watched a new Friday the 13th, they expected that. And you guys still put it in there, but you didn't focus mainly on it. It actually seemed to me like they were focusing more on the brutality of Jason. Would you agree with that?
I agree. It's funny. I get different responses from different people. Some people are like, wow, that was a lot of tits and ass in that film. Because we had quite a few.
Because they were just looking for it, the fucking freaks.
Exactly. We had quite a few boobs. We had Dinah Prince, who we all know is Darcy the Mail Girl on Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In. She was in that one. She also returns in Part 2. And we had another amazing actress in the beginning of the film, and Veronica Ricci, who's another famous actress in of herself, who's in that scene. Danny May Red. We had quite a bit in the film. And so some people are like, oh, that was a lot of boobs. And other people were like, yes, you put boobs in it. And part six, as we know,
yay boobs.
Yeah, part 6 was the only film in the franchise that had no nudity. So that was one thing we took away that we added to the sequel of part 6. That wasn't part of that whole series. Was we added the nudity? So
yeah, but it wasn't like it was overdone. It didn't last long. I mean, you know, it was enough to give you the feeling of the classic films, but at the same token, it seemed like it focused more on the story.
yeah,
Which, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of that.
yeah,
The actual story of it, and of course, you know, I always root for the bad guy.
it was,
So,
it was
you know,
not too gratuitous, but a little bit gratuitous, but just enough.
a little bit, just enough to walk the line and open people's eyes a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, who doesn't love to see some boobs? So,
but yeah, it just seemed like, you know, the way you portray Jason in the film is way more sinister. Just, you know, walk up on you, not the, you know, standing there for a long time and then, oh, you're going to charge at me. Well, guess what? You're going to lose something. And I don't know if I had to pick, if Reaper had to pick his favorite scene, it is when you hacked up the prison gang.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit. I went back and watched it again today just because I wanted to get myself in, you know, the spirit of it. And I was just like, man, I was just fucking badass.
Thank you.
When it comes to the kill scenes, do you kind of orchestrate that yourself?
Some of them, yeah. I had a hand in writing some of the kills and some of the story. But with that particular scene, that was meant to be like, it was originally written to be kind of like the Rogue One Darth Vader scene where he goes down the hallway. These guys can't escape anywhere. They have nowhere to go. They're just dead meat. And these guys are all in this chain gang. They can't go anywhere. And it was meant to be this brutal scene with people trying to crawl away and the chains, you know, ripping their ankles apart, degloving their feet or whatever. And when we got there, Mick Strawn, who we already mentioned, he was like, no, I think the way we're going to do this is we're going to go down the chain and go backwards like we did in Chainsaw. Check the Chainsaw. So we'll go backwards and kind of see just after the brutality happens. It's just behind us and start seeing a few people falling and everything, and we'll get that done. Because he said, I don't want to have it be this whole choreographed scene with everybody was kung fu fighting and all that. We just rather see the aftermath. So we did it that way. Some people loved it, and a couple people were like, hey, I wanted to see what happened. So we revisit that a little bit. Spoiler alert in part 2. Just a little bit. So
just a tad.
Just a tad. Some people wanted to find out what happened to the last prisoner, Ken Slate, and I think we'll find out in the next one.
Awesome. So how did you kind of prepare for this role? How did you get into the headspace of Jason Voorhees, the iconic slasher?
Yeah. So as soon as I got the part, originally the film was called Mythos, and it was meant to be a short film, and it got expanded into Vengeance. But when I first got the part, I just delved right into there. 36 plus hours of watching, not the movies aside, I watched all behind the scenes documentaries, interviews with all the different actors who played Jason, because I didn't want to just emulate what they did or how they moved. I wanted to get into their headspace and find out what they were thinking when they were actually performing. So that way, when I'm doing something different, I don't want to recreate what they've already done. That's already been done. So I want to be like, well, how would they do it? What's their mindset when they perform this kill or when they move? And so I watched so many hours of con footage when they're doing panels and all this stuff to kind of get in their heads. And then when I went down to CJ's house, the first time I met him, I went to his house down in Arizona, talked to him, and he was talking about how he always leads with his chest. Every step is powerful. And then I went to Steve Dash's house and stayed with him for several days and asked him as well. In the end, Steve Dash called me over, and one night at his house, and I was sitting in the kitchen. We're going through some of the dailies, and he was like, hey, Jason, come here. I was like, uh-oh, principal's office. And he said, I want to talk to you. So I come and sit down next to him. Yeah, I sit down next to him, and he had been flipping through the channels. Like, he was showing me all this stuff on YouTube, like all these other movies he's done in different parts, and he kept showing me the stuff. So I thought it might be that, but he's like, hey, So I watched your interviews. I've seen you do all this stuff. I know that you've been watching me and you've been watching CJ and Kane and Ted White and all this stuff, like, and you've been studying us. And he said, "Can I give you some advice?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're the original adult Jason. Why would I not listen to you, you know?" And he
Right.
said, "All right, if I can give you some advice, throw that shit away." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Do you think that, Ted White looked to me to be, how I play Jason? No. You think that CJ looked to him? Do you think that Kane looked to CJ? You think that any of these actors looked to each other to be Jason? No, they played their own version of Jason, and that's what made them special. So throw us all aside, throw that shit aside, and be your own Jason." And he says, "You've got the size, you've got the talent. I've seen you move, I've seen you do it. You've got what it takes. I want you to be you." And it was kind of very freeing in a way, because I could just kind of let it all go and it relieved some of that pressure. Because I know that playing Jason, I can make or break the film. If I suck at Jason, the whole film sucks. Nobody gives a shit about the rest. They could all be Academy Award winning actors. And if Jason's bad, the whole movie's bad. So it allowed me to kind of like throw everything out the window and just be my version and let go. So what happened, from what I hear and from what I experienced, is that I became this culmination of all the different types. I've heard from people like, "Dude, you got all these Kane moves. You just look like Kane here, but you've also got the CJ thing, and you look like Ted White there." And it just, all these different pieces of it kind of came together to make this amalgamation of all the different Jasons, which people seem to really appreciate. So,
Yeah. I mean, it definitely spoke to me that
Yeah.
way too, because there was a few moments where I'm like, damn, this is CJ here. And then you just like turn around and do something completely different that no other Jason has done, really.
Yeah.
So it was very refreshing. Like I said, it's like you kept the magic, but elevated it.
Thank you.
And I absolutely thought the commercial that happens in the beginning of the film is just fucking hilarious.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh, man, it was one of the best
actors.
parts. I'm like, that was refreshing. Some good, humor, because in some of those sequels of the franchise, I was like, that is the worst line ever, or, just like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. That commercial was fucking genius. Whose idea was that?
Right. No, that was a lot of ad-lib too.
Was it?
I think we had a couple of lines that
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we knew we needed a commercial there. We had a couple of lines in there, but John Ravenholt, amazing actor, he played the leader of that group. He kind of led that, and they all just nailed it. Like, we just did a bunch of different ad-lib things, and Diana Prince as well, of course, Darcy the Mail Girl, just blew it away. And we all get there. I have another little side cameo where I'm holding the sign in the background there, but it was good. It was a good time.
Oh, very much so. All right. Before we get into a little bit more about Vengeance One, as we get ready to move into the others, we're going to take a quick commercial break to my new sponsor at throttleaddict.com. All righty. Whether or not you enjoy riding motorcycles, ride with the devil, or just want to wear really cool fucking shit, throttleaddict.com has some awesome t-shirt designs for you. I've shown a couple that I wear myself, so I'm telling you, it's not just for motorcycle enthusiasts. If you just like that kind of like pinup style type stuff that they have for both men and women, check that shit out. Get yourself a snapback. Use my code Reaper, all caps, and get that 15% off your whole order. All right, we are back with the incomparable Jason Brooks of the Friday the 13th fan films and a whole lot more. Now, to those of you out there in the Peanut Gallery, please, if you have a question, now is the time to ask it. Don't be afraid to do that. and share the shit out of this broadcast. All right. So we were talking about how you kind of got into the headspace, to be Jason. So like motivation wise,
Yeah.
was there any particular kill scene that you had a tough time with, or did it all just seem kind of, I don't know, easy to do? I'm always curious about that.
The only real tough scenes were there's a couple tough ones, but they weren't the kills. The kills were all great and easy. What's funny is I always in my mind, I want to get into the dark headspace and be like, yeah, I'm going to kill this motherfucker, and go for it. But the reality is you're on set, you got like 50 people around you, holding mics and cameras and all the stuff. It's like, and it's all happening so fast. You get on set, it's like, okay, you guys ready? You're set, camera set, and whatever. And then it's like action, and my mind goes into the technical space of safety, making sure that everyone is safe, making sure that the stunts are done correctly and the kills are done properly without hurting anyone for real. And so it's all very choreographed, and it's like a dance. So you're remembering these steps while trying to maintain this like aggression. So I never actually get in that space of like, oh, I'm angry. But when I was underwater, I'm in the lake in that opening shot. I go out in the lake and I come out and I'm carrying that big rock from part 6 that I do that first kill with. It's still chained to my neck. That rock was made out of about 80 pounds of concrete. And,
holy crap.
Yeah. And so, but it had a foam block center to kind of bulk it out. So it's not just full concrete, because then it'd be a few hundred pounds. So
right.
I went and when we built that, funny story, we had this foam block, we had the concrete around it. It looked great. And then Mick Strawn was like, what's it made of? And I told him, he's like, it's going to float. I was like, no, it's going to sink. It's 80 something pounds of concrete. He's like, no, it's going to float. So we get in the lake, and there I am holding it, and it's floating. And I'm trying to push it down. It's not working. It's not sinking at all. And I'm like, shit, he was right. And so I'm like trying to sit on it and push it down. And he's over on the shore just laughing his ass off at me. But
that's encouraging.
Yeah, exactly. So he was right. I was wrong. And it did float, but it was still 80 something pounds when I came out, and I have to lift that over my head and smash the guy safely. But being under the lake, rising out of it, it didn't even end up in the movie. But I'm under the water. I had to be under there and let the water get calm and still, and then kind of rise up out of it. We shot that in 2 locations. One was the actual lake, where it was like really gross and murky, and the other one was a swimming pool that was all blacked out. And but what I found was, because it was late September, almost October in Seattle, the weather was in the 30s. It was really cold. The lake was freezing, and I was out there. I had a wetsuit on to kind of protect myself, because I was in the water for several hours. What I found where
must have been like raisin by then.
Yeah, my feet were bad for months.
Oh, man.
From those boots. But what I realized, being from Seattle and not wearing a wetsuit very often, wetsuits float. So I couldn't get underwater. They're like, come on, dude, get under the water. I'm like, I'm trying. I'm like, and it was a man-made lake. Yeah. So the lake itself, the floor goes out about 50, 70 feet out from the shore, and then just drops.
Oof.
So when it drops, it's about 4 feet tall or 4 feet deep, and then it drops to 50 feet or something like that. So when I get under the water, I have to like kneel down under the water, and here I am holding, I've got all these sandbags, because about 100 and something pounds of sandbags to hold me down because of the wetsuit. I'm on the edge of this drop off, and I'm trying to get under the water and trying not to float. And it was a mess. And trying not to fall off the edge to go down. And then once I get under the water, the whole silicone hood, it fills up. It's like wearing a fishbowl and having the whole thing inside filled with water. You got the hockey mask over it. So then when I come up, I'm completely blind. It's dark. I don't know if I'm outside of the water yet or not. So I don't know if it's okay to breathe, because I can't feel the water coming down because of all the silicone. And that was the hardest part, was just, the water defeated me. But everything else, that was cake.
Yeah, it's like, next thing you know, you see Jason Voorhees just floating down to the other side of the lake, man. That one sucked. Woo!
Too
Well,
true.
but you did it though, and it was convincing
Thank you.
as hell.
Thank you. Yeah, the footage looks good, so it paid off.
So, I'm still kind of torn. Is there like a supernatural kind of thing in the storyline that kind of brought you out all of a sudden?
Yeah, I mean, that's always every director's challenge, right? Is
Yeah.
well, Jason died. How do we bring him back? And how do we kill him without killing him? And
Right.
every director I've talked to with the Friday the franchise, they've been like, "Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is like he's dead. How do you bring him back?" And then the studio always wants him to die, but then how do you kill him? But not really kill him because there's still money to be had in the studio. So, so our
Yeah.
challenge was, how do you bring him back after being underwater for 30 years? And it was really just, at the end of part 6, Tommy sank him to the bottom of the lake, did what he was
Right.
going to do to put him at rest. And our theory is kind of like, Jason doesn't necessarily want to be killing. He really wants to be at rest, at peace, but people keep fucking disturbing him. Tommy Jarvis digs him up out of the grave. Everyone just keeps bugging the shit out of him. He comes back alive and he just kills until he's put back. So here he is. He's under the water. And now his dad comes back and his dad wants something from him. So with the power of his father being back, who's, as you see in the film, brought him back to life from being, a child when he drowned, it's that power of what's happening there, and we explore that a little more in the sequel.
Right.
That power is what kind of awakens Jason. Is he's back, his father's there, and it's time to kind of reactivate himself.
Yeah, that was kind of the connection I was thinking the direction was going. So it's almost like an unspoken thing. None of the films just come out and say, "Oh, this is why."
Yeah.
Although in part 6, when Tommy dug him up and cast the spear into him, and then the lightning struck it, like that's pretty much what reanimated him at that point.
That's pretty powerful, yeah. The Frankenstein.
But I like the father son connection because that's something that's never been explored.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, who? Tell me again, who did the special effects on this?
On Vengeance?
Yeah.
It was a combination of a few people. So there was myself. I did some. There was a makeup artist named Maddie. There was Chad from Raptor Props, and then Joe Castro, who did the Louis kill.
That name pops up a lot.
Joe Castro comes up a lot.
We are familiar with Joe.
Things, yeah.
He makes some pretty amazing things. And I was kind of curious, like who orchestrated the one where you just happened to. Now, those of you out there in Three Witches Land, if you haven't seen this yet, sorry for the spoiler, but I'm a huge fan of kill scenes. And you're just walking past the car, slam the chick's head on the window, off it comes.
Yep.
And then there's the one where you grab the guy by the head and literally just kind of wrench it, and it legit comes out with part of the spine in it. I just thought that was poetry in motion.
So the car kill, the two ladies in there, wonderful ladies, Reagan Heller and Toy Williams, they were backers and winners. They got to be in the film, and so with that, when they showed up, we're kind of like, well, how are we going to kill them? And we didn't really have it laid out yet. We thought it might be something to do with the car. So I talked to the director and I'm like, well, how about they're on their way to be a part of that whole tour group, but the car breaks down. And I said, I can just smash her head into the thing. We'll get the blood cannon and shoot blood out. And then I said, we still have that severed head around from the other kill that I threw away. And I said, that's good enough. We got a wig that's close. I'll slice her head off the window. We're like, all right. So we did, and it worked. And it turns out to be a lot of people's favorite, kill, which is great because they're so simple. And but we destroyed that car. Belonged to our DP Dustin Monteith, and his poor car was destroyed. He had to drive home several days after that, blood all down the side of his car. But the other,
I'm sure everyone kind of threw an eye up at him.
Oh yeah, the other kill that
Where
you
the
mentioned.
fuck you go?
The other kill you mentioned is actually me. I'm that other guy who plays Louis Carlisle, the drunken redneck.
Yeah,
And
I knew it.
yeah, so we have one of our executive producers, Don Shell, he actually put on the costume to do that kill, and that whole effect was done by Joe Castro. So that was his big kill for the film. He cast my head. I flew down to L.A. He cast my head in there and made that whole amazing prosthetic head and spine and ripped it off. It was great. So.
Yeah, I actually kind of, I've seen some of his other work, obviously my wife and stuff. So
yeah, very talented.
Yeah. What's that?
He's very talented.
Oh man, I just had a feeling that might have been something he would have done, because I mean that shit was flawless. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, obviously we get to the end of the film. Now, were you surprised at how well it did on YouTube?
Yes and no. I mean, I was glad, because we had poured our heart and soul and time, everything, our life into this thing. So we really wanted it to be successful. I didn't expect the success I had from it, because I just felt like I was just part of the process. I was just a cog in the wheel. And at one point, the director, Jeremy Brown, he was like, hey, I don't have I got a face for radio. I want you to be the face of the film. Go out and promote it. So Peter Anthony and I promoted the whole thing. I became the voice for the team. And from that point, it just blew up. Started getting invited to conventions to sign autographs. And it was just, my world changed. And I didn't expect that. Like everything I did out of love for the film, for the franchise, for the character. And it paid off in that way, which was great, because then going to all these cons and signing autographs and being able to raise some money all goes to the next film and stuff. And so I'm able to then carry it on and put everything that the fans give back into the film itself to give them more. So.
Well, I'm sure, being on the other side of things, it's one thing to do the film. You've laid your life's blood on it, and now you're on the outside promoting it. I mean, that's just as much work, in my opinion, because, I manage bands and stuff like that. So I know what it's like to promote a lot of stuff. So, I mean, it's tough. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of talking to people.
Oh yeah.
How did you, take the fame, like when you signed your first autograph?
Oh, the first autograph, it just felt weird. Like it was not that big. I'm like, I just felt like, okay, yeah, you want a signature, you want an autograph. It was the first tattoo that got me.
Oh yeah.
I was in New Jersey, and Deanna Cower, how are you doing? I know that one.
Oh, okay.
See them in the comments. But I was in New Jersey signing at New Jersey HorrorCon, and someone ran up to me and said, "Did you see this yet?" with their phone, and showed me this amazing fucking tattoo that was on the back of the hand. It was in the UK, like across the water. Shit. Like the whole sleeve was my fucking face. And I was like, holy shit, that's like me as Jason. That someone got this entire sleeve on their hand and everything. Like it blew me away. And then I realized that the film was on a different level than I had thought before.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden there was another tattoo and another tattoo. And then I was asked to sign my autograph on somebody, and they got it tattooed on them. And then it just started blowing up. And I've done 3 so far. My signature that got tattooed on somebody. And then when we put the behind the scenes out for the movie, we were going to do a little spot on I think there's 24 tattoos we knew of at the time, where people are getting them of me as Jason. So then I did a quick little hashtag Vengeance Jason tattoo in Instagram and came up with like 224 more. And I was like, oh my God, like there's hundreds and hundreds of tattoos that people have of me.
Yeah.
And my version of Jason. And it's just amazing. That
talk about being immortalized.
Right.
It's there for life.
I'm like, you realize this is what? Are you sure? So that's what really, and then being recognized in public a couple times, on a plane, at the mall, and having people come up to me while I'm having dinner with my kids, and someone walking up and like, are you Jason? Jason Brooks, we play Jason Voorhees, and my kids are like, what? What? Like, this is real. So, yeah.
Met a Hooters girl with the best Jason tattoo.
But was it my version of Jason? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, to go from one tattoo to 224 that you knew of.
Yeah, that was a fun hack thing. It's in the we saved them all and put them all in the behind the scenes. So if you have the DVD or Blu-ray of Vengeance, it's in the behind the scenes there. You'll see a little bit of the tattoos, and we go through a slideshow showing like a second of each one of them, just like bam, 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 bam. So, yeah.
And where can fans get this?
Well, right now, usually you can't, but right now we're running an Indiegogo for a campaign for the second one, for part 2, which if you liked part 1, and if you didn't like part 1, I think you're going to like part 2. But we have an Indiegogo. You can look up F-13 Vengeance Bloodlines and find it there. We have the original DVDs and Blu-rays. We have the new one. You can pre-order the new one. And you can add on. So if you get the new one, you can do an add-on after you go to checkout or whatever, but available there.
Okay. Genghis, is there a way we can get that up on the screen for everybody? You said it was Indiegogo?
Indiegogo. If you look up F-13 Vengeance 2 Bloodlines or Friday the 13th Bloodlines, and I think any combination of searching will find it. So, okay. And all that money goes back into our post-production right now. We finished filming. We wrapped on that. So now we're doing our editing, our final edits. We got sound design. We got scoring. We got to do color correction. We got mastering, all the things to get into post-production to make it beautiful and tight and get that out. And then, of course, pay for all the perks for everyone who's ordering things. So we got like T-shirts and Blu-rays, DVDs. We got the vintage retro VHS tapes. We have other things in there as well that are kind of cool. So
excellent. Yeah, thanks for getting that up there so that everybody knows where to go at Indiegogo.com. Vengeance 2 Bloodlines, Friday the 13th fan film. So definitely get your pre-orders in. I know I'm going to do it.
Thank you.
Hopefully I can get Jason to sign it for me. That would be
I think I know a guy who can hook you up.
That'd be awesome. All right. Real quick, we're going to take one more sponsor break and take a look at the bands of Terror Crew Productions, Ohio, Nebraska. That's right. Those are all my boys from the U.S. all the way to Germany, as you could see. If there's any bands out there, whether you're signed or unsigned, send me your stuff. All the links were there. As a matter of fact, tonight, both Grave Next Door and the Doomsday Rejects had 2 huge shows. So definitely follow them on social media, Facebook and Instagram. to kind of catch some of the highlights of these shows. As a matter of fact, my band Black Tar Superstar just played in Ohio last night. It was a good show with Yatra and Self God. It was a very good show. So, but yeah, reach out to me, send me your stuff. I'll check you out and see if you want to join the Terror Crew Productions. So, all right, back with Jason Brooks. Yes, sir.
One thing that just reminded me. I haven't talked about it in a long time, which poor on me, bad me, whatever. But when After Vengeance came out, we had a ton of musicians who came out and they were like, "Hey, check the song out. We wrote it because Vengeance inspired the song. Vengeance inspired our band. I wrote a song for the movie. If you want, whatever." And we couldn't use it. We couldn't use it in Vengeance. We'd already gotten everything, edited and wrapped and everything.
Right.
But I was like, there's so much talent and there's so much good content here. That we decided that this round we're going to make an album, songs inspired by Vengeance, basically.
Nice.
Songs of Vengeance. And so we have all these people, all these different bands, different genres, a lot of them metal, 40 so far, I believe, who submitted, and they're going to be on this album of the Songs of Vengeance. So we have people like Pamela Moore from Queensryche. We have Crypt Amnesia. We have Dead Animal Assembly Plant, DK Zero, Wyatt Only and the Wreckage. We have all these bands that have submitted this amazing music that is going to go out to these people, to the fans and the backers. So the backers get a free digital download of it. So I love the soundtrack. I listen to it in my own car when I'm driving around. So even like the $5 donation will get the digital download of this album. So it's pretty cool to introduce a lot of people to these cool bands, and the Sloths are in there. Tom McLaughlin's band. They've been around touring with the Rolling Stones and the Doors and everything. So we got some big names. We got some good people that came to us and that were giving us their music. So it's pretty cool.
I'll have to slide a copy of Old Gods Awaken by Black Tar Superstar and have you check out Serial.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk after this. Let's talk after the interview.
Hell yeah. That was the song, one of the we do nothing but horror videos for every song, that we release as a single. So that one was kind of like Dexter serial killer inspired, kind of got us in trouble a little bit because it was very graphic with a lot of violence. So yeah, I was just like thinking in my head, I'm like, shit, that song would have been perfect for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will definitely do that. So let's talk about Vengeance 2 Bloodlines.
Yes.
Only what you can say. I'm not going to have you divulge the whole storyline or anything like that. But what can we expect? Probably bigger and badder, and just getting better. By the minute, I bet.
Bigger, badder, more brutal. The kills are more gory. We have it's brutality. And it's also the story is like we listen to the fans. In Vengeance, feedback. There was a lot of storylines going on, a lot happening. And in reality, we didn't have a big story to tell in Vengeance, and so there was probably 2.5 to 3 hour film that we had to cut down into an hour and a half. So we lost some of the story building, some of the character building in Vengeance that we wished we would have had, but. In this one, we make sure that we focus on that. There's still a big kill count, but there's great story, there's great plot, and in brutality as well. And because of the success of Vengeance 1, we've got a star-studded cast, some horror icons coming in. So,
oh man,
we have
I can't wait.
CJ Graham comes back, who played Jason in Part 6. He's still we have Tom McLaughlin coming back as Walt the Gravekeeper. Darcy DeMoss, who played Nikki in Part 6, she's coming back. Paul Taylor, who played Pinhead in Hellraiser Judgment. He's there. We got Rob Mello, the babyface killer from Happy Death Day 2. Tamara Glenn from Halloween Part 5 played Samantha. And we've got Richie Ramone from the Ramones, the drummer from the Ramones.
What the fuck?
Right.
Richie Ramone?
Richie Ramone, he's literally like Tamara Glenn hooked me up and hooked him up. He was literally texting me, calling me, "Hey man, I want to be in this film. What can we do?" And I'm like looking at my phone, can you believe my fucking life? Richie Ramone just texted me like he wants to be in my film. And
I
so,
probably would have shit myself and fell down the stairs.
dude, you have no idea. And like several months ago, I get a text from him like, "Hey man, I'm in the studio right now. We're just jamming and stuff, and we cranked out this new album. It's not mastered, it's not like really recorded, but what do you think? Here, check it out." And I'm like, I'm hearing this album from Richie Ramone before it's released, before it's mastered, before it goes to, like, oh, and he
I can't believe
also,
he's still doing stuff. That's
right.
awesome.
And he sent me, he's like, "Hey man, I want to write a song for the movie. Is that okay?" It's like, you're
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Of course it's okay. We got 2 songs. We got 2 songs from Richie in the film. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we got a couple other surprises in the film there. Like I said, Darcy the Mail Girl, Diana Prince, she's back for a little cameo. But we got a couple surprises in there. It opened the door. The success of part 1 opened the door, and a lot of people want to be in it. And we actually had to turn some people away, unfortunately, because we just didn't have the space or the timing, and it would have been awesome to have them in there. So, but it's gonna be great. It's a thrill ride. It's fun. The test audiences, we've had a couple test audiences. They love it, and they want more. So that, leaving them wanting more is always great.
Now, do you think it was, more or less just the brutality aspect of it, or that like budding, relationship between father and son there?
I think it's a little bit of everything. One, it answers a lot of the questions left from the first film, so this is satisfying. 2, one thing I like about part 6 is it's a roller coaster. You have the highs and lows. You get the laugh, you get the scares. This does that as well. You get laughing, you get scaring, but this also brings some deeper emotions too. Like I've heard from men and women both like, "Dude, I almost cried at these 2 parts. Like that was pretty hardcore." And
Wow.
And we bring a lot of emotion to it, highs, lows, everything. So it's a fun ride, and then it gets really intense. More stalking, more suspense, and we learned, we always want to learn and grow and do better the next time. So, and we'll learn and grow from this one as well into the next film that we do. So it's really, I don't know, it's a product of learning and expanding and getting better. So I think we hit the nail on the head in several ways. The performances were amazing. The actors were awesome. Production design, the makeup was awesome. Everything came together.
Oh, just insanely good.
Yeah. And the trailer, I mean, you can see the trailer a little bit. We amped it up a bit with the fire stunt and all that stuff, all practical. It's we just really amped it up quite a bit, and just got to take it further, So
Abso-fucking-lutely. Let's go ahead and roll that clip right now.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to bring her back.
Bring who back?
His wife, Jason's mother. And he needs all of us to do it.
I discovered something, sir. Something that we missed in translation. Last of your bloodline needs to end the last of theirs.
You know what needs to be done.
Why'd they have to dig up Jason? Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, if that's any indication right there of what you can expect from Vengeance Part 2 Bloodlines, man, you're in for it.
Yeah.
I am so excited to see it. It's man, I'm jumping out my skin.
Thank you. I've heard some feedback is like, oh man, it looks like you showed all the exciting parts. It's like, no, that's just wait.
No, there's
That's
no
not
way
the-
that's all. There's
yeah,
no way.
no. That's like, it's funny. The fire stunt when we filmed it, we're like, wow, this is going to be awesome. We can't show anybody this. It's got to be a secret because it's going to be huge. And as we watch the film, we're like, yeah, that's not the biggest thing anymore. We should show that. That's fun. So there's so much to come.
Oh, absolutely. And, when I was doing my research, on everything as a whole, I mean, if there's one thing I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, Friday the 13th fans are passionate. There
Oh, yeah.
are, I think I only reached like just the surface of just how many, people are so diehard for these films. And you guys, in my opinion, have done the impossible because nobody else has really thought about what to do next other than the one thing I'm going to ask you here, which is probably the dying question. But it's been so long since the franchise has really done anything, and you guys just put out these amazing fucking films. And literally every Friday the 13th fan, Jason fan, whatever, is going to love it. And it's still going to reach even more heights, especially with the second one. So I got to commend you on that because that's a hard franchise. They keep doing, the Michael Myers thing. They got the final movie coming out in October, all that stuff. But, with Jason, it's just been so long, and you guys just have put out such a quality product.
Thank you.
So I have to ask,
Yep.
what do you think about the talk about making a prequel about Jason's mother? Have you ever been asked that question?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I think to do it right, it'd be a tough job to do right. It's the first Friday the 13th had no Jason, and it was very successful, which led to all the rest of it, which included Jason. I think that going back in time, having it be the mother, it's a tough job because there's no mystery anymore. It's like that there's no Jason yet. It's the mother. It's the mother killing. So you're shifting gears, but it's not quite like the Friday the 13th TV series where there was no Jason, there was no Pamela. It was just kind of
it was all a bunch of demonic trinkets.
Exactly. So at least now okay, I know what to expect. I know it's going to be the mother who's killing, and now we get to still see a slasher movie with the mother, assuming that's what the route they go. But it's a tough thing. If you can get behind the mother is killing for a long time, or for a TV series, or for whatever it is, then I think you could be successful. And it's fun to know at least a time or one or two shows or movies or something like that, what happened before. Which is why we've gone back in time. We've kind of gone back with the father to see like how did he play into the past, and how did he play into the first movies, and where was he during these times. So there is interest there, even from us. But I mean, I would like to see that, and is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I could see it having some weight there.
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of like a far cry. Like, I've read all these different articles like, oh, this is what's going to save the franchise.
Oh yeah.
And I was just thinking, if you just kind of nix 8, 9, and 10, those ones, what is it? Jason in New York, and you done throwing him into outer space, and he became this like super demon. I mean, it was comical. It was fun. That's
It was
fine.
fun.
But you couldn't take it as serious as Part 6, Part 7. Those two films for me are like so big. And I also really liked Part 3 and Part 4. Part 5, I
Part
just
5
couldn't get with it.
it's got some great kills. It's got some great things. I think
It
it's
does.
just the disappointment at the end, finding out it wasn't really Jason. I think you feel a little bit robbed. But if it was Jason the whole time, it'd be a brilliant film.
I agree. So, in my opinion, what has saved the franchise is what y'all have been doing, in my opinion. I am a serious horror fan, so I analyze and go through all the permutations, and I got to say, you guys have really done something special here. I definitely have to check out Roseblood.
Yeah.
What kind of sets that one different from the Vengeance films?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Roseblood, completely different. We have some of the same actors. We have the same crew going into that. So just know that. But with Roseblood, it's a sequel to Part 7, and it follows the story of Tina, who's the final girl in Part 7, and what happens to her afterwards. She's taken to a facility in Camp Crystal Lake where they go to experiment on her because of her powers. What happens next, and where has she been for the last 30, 40 years? So it's a fun little ride. Definitely check it out. It's on YouTube as well. And that one is definitely different in the way that it does a lot more character building, a lot more story building, and there's not a lot of carnage until the last half hour or so. So it really builds up the story and gets you into it. And the reviews, when you see the online reviews, the reaction videos, people kind of don't realize either. They're like, wow, it's 50 minutes in and I haven't seen Jason yet, and I didn't even realize that. I'm so invested in the story and what's happening with these people. But then when Jason does show up, shit goes down and it happens. It's hard. So that was a fun one. I got injured quite a bit. So it was definitely more physical than Vengeance. I got metal shards in my eye. I sliced my hands, my fingers open. I broke my forearm or fractured it. But lots of things happened there, but it all paid off because it was a fun movie.
Definitely 5 stars there for realism.
Yeah. We
don't let anyone say that your job is easy, because no.
No, and that's the thing. It's like I said, Vengeance, we had the executive producer step in to play Jason. We had someone step in for one shot in Roseblood. And with other films, we've seen some people try to play Jason. And it's, a lot of people assume you throw on the mask and you just walk around and you're Jason. But at the end of the day, when you watch him and you compare, it's like, hey, that doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right, or they're not standing correctly. The posture's off. People notice. People can tell. And especially when you're doing like Roseblood, which is a sequel to Part 7, where Kane Hodder played Jason in Part 7, there's no wiggle room for error. Kane Hodder fans are Kane fucking Hodder fans. And if you don't do it exactly the way Kane Hodder did, then fuck you, you're wrong, and you suck, right? So I've been lucky enough that like 99.9% of my reviews on that are positive. So I worked really hard. With Vengeance, I was my own Jason. Roseblood, I had to be Kane Hodder because I was like, I know I have wiggle room on Vengeance to be my own. Roseblood,
right.
No room. I got to be Kane Hodder. And in the reviews, if you read them, we're like, oh my God, I thought it was Kane Hodder's back. Kane Hodder's resurrected. It's Kane Hodder. And so that was a bit of a different way to go about it, was being Kane in that one, to kind of appease the fans and to carry on that version of Jason through the story.
Well, and that really kind of gives you super credit as an actor to make sure that you're appeasing those fans by doing it in that fashion.
Thank you.
It's kind of like I can relate that to Black Sabbath. You had Ozzy for the first 10 years, and then you had Ronnie James Dio, a couple of other guys stepped in, Tony Martin and them, and it's a hard role to fill.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really like latched on to your way of doing it because it's just brutal as fuck and you don't give a fuck. It's going down. It's going to happen. It's in your face. That's what you get.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Oh,
fucking honest. It's
thank you.
honest. It's believable. And that was one of the hardest things because I'm also a big Halloween fan. You know, there's been all kinds of different guys that have played, you know, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So when the Blumhouse stuff came out, I was like, if you don't give me something honest, I ain't gonna watch the rest of them. Fuck off. So so far, so good. But I love my Jason just as much, and you're definitely my favorite at present. So
Oh, thank you. I can't wait
my
for
hat's
the
off to
Avengers
you.
2.
So definitely shameless plug time. Anything that you want to say to any of the fans that have been watching the films, or in to all the ones that didn't even know about it that you may have made fans tonight, what would you like to say to them?
Oh my God. First, thank you for everyone who's on here and watching. I really appreciate the support. I really appreciate you listening and checking it out. Definitely, please go check out the Indiegogo. Look us up there. The trailer's on there. So you can watch the trailer, see what we're all about, see the quality that we're trying to put out, who's involved. And if you want to donate, please do. Even $5 get your names into the credits of the film. So there's a lot of perks on there. That money helps us go to complete the film. If you can't, just go watch the video, go watch the trailer yourself. It's fine. We just really appreciate the support in any way you can. But the Indiegogo is the place to go. And we also have a Facebook page, F13 Vengeance. We have the Indiegogo. We have the Instagram. We're on a lot of different places, so go check it out. We just really appreciate all the support and love we can get. Even if you share it, somebody else might be able to donate. I know it's hard times and some people can't. So if you're able to share it out and get the word out, even that helps, because someone might be able to donate a little bit to help get it done. So I just really appreciate the fans. Without the fans, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be making a second film if it wasn't for the fans begging for it. So just
Absolutely.
really, yeah, check it out. And I'm on TikTok, D. Jason Brooks or D. Jason Brooks Official, one of those, where I give
One of them.
updates all the time. Yeah, and I got to get back on there. But it's a lot of fun. Check out one of it: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, something, and you'll find all the updates there. And when it comes out, we'll show up for free for everyone on YouTube. You'll have the opportunity to buy the Blu-ray DVD on Indiegogo now, and then not later. So, yeah, that's all my shameless plugs I can think of.
Absolutely, man. It has been an absolute honor to have you on the Underground tonight, and I appreciate everything that y'all are doing. You're giving fresh blood to, you know, a franchise that's been around for like 30 plus at this
so
point.
much.
And just really appreciate what you do. Thank you all tonight for joining me on Reapers Underground. Those of you out there in Three Witches Land, without, you know, as always, without you, there's no me. So thank you for tuning in tonight. And until the next time.
Oh, sorry. And if you go to YouTube, check out the trailer. Like, post out you saw me on this Reaper channel here, and let me know what you think of the video. So,
yes, please.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, check it out. You can also see the first Vengeance if you haven't seen that yet.
Yep.
Check that out prior, and I'm telling you, it's going to make you want to get that DVD, Blu-ray, without a doubt. So, be kind to one another.
Yes.
But most importantly, stay heavy.